Genesis 37, what is happening in Joseph's life? Joseph is going through a mixture of emotions right now. He's going through pain, suffering, and everything. If you're not familiar, we're going through the book of Genesis right now. And not just any book in Genesis, not just any story in the book of Genesis, but this is a story of visions, dreams. This is a story of promises being fulfilled. This is a story of confirmation of God bringing blessings and gifts over Joseph's life because of his obedience and because of the fact that he followed the Lord's commands. Genesis 37 talks about the fact that Joseph was born in Jacob and his mother's old age. Jacob and his wife had Joseph at a very old age, so he was considered the promised child. And God had blessed them and given them this gift of Joseph, which is a miracle that they were able to have Joseph at an old age. Joseph had 11 brothers. Joseph was one of 12, and later down the road they did have another son, and then they also had very many daughters and stuff like that. But I'm trying to get to you guys to show you that Joseph was the favored son in this family. Joseph was very loved. In fact, Jacob, Joseph's father, made him a cloak, made him clothes that were very fancy and very nice, and it looked very nice. So the other brothers were very jealous. They were very jealous over the fact that Jacob loved Joseph more than any of the other sons. Joseph tended the sheep with his other brothers. But I want to show you what happens when a father doesn't do his best to make sure that everybody in the family is loved, because he is favoring Joseph over the other sons, over his other children. And it's very important that a father makes sure that he is loving on his children, he is protecting his children and guarding his children, and not favoring one over the other. In fact, it says this, Genesis 37, it says this in verse 4, when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not bring themselves to speak peacefully to him. His own brothers couldn't even speak to Joseph because of the fact that Jacob failed in this area in fatherhood, because he focused less on the other brothers and focused all of his time on Joseph, just because of the fact that he was born to Jacob and his wife in an old age. All right, so Joseph had two separate dreams, confirming, because the number 2 in biblical numbers in Hebrew actually is confirmation from God that something will be done. When God says something twice, that means it will happen. In the Bible, that means that it will happen. And that means if you have 2 dreams about something very specific and God confirms it, that means it will happen in the Bible. We see this time and time again in the Bible. So Joseph right now, he has 2 dreams saying that he is going to rule over his family and that